Today I have a new quad LED light from Nitecore with the P20iX that produces up to 4,000 lumens on a 21700 battery, and it features onboard USB-C charging that you can see here. It's got a tactical and a daily mode. Thanks to Nitecore Fort Store for sending this to me to look at and review. If you're not already, follow me on social media or subscribe to me on YouTube. I'll have links in the description where you can check those properties out. So here is the packaging that the light comes in. It is a nice high quality cardboard box, black with the picture of the light on it itself glossy. On the back you've got a lot of statistics and features of the light. No runtime chart though. On the side you've got a nice picture of all the accessories, which I like too. The box itself reminds me a lot of what Olight's high-end boxes look like, except it's not magnetic. You do get a lot of accessories with the light. You've got a pretty standard lanyard here. You have a pocket clip, USB A to C charging cable, extra O-ring, an adapter for your CR123A batteries to fit in the 21700 body, and then this belt loop holster thing here, which it just clips in just like that, and it's a nice secure fit that protects the light, clips on your belt. It is a little flimsy though in the back here, and you also get a 5,000 milliamp hour Nitecore battery that is inside that I will show you later. Machining on the aluminum light is good here. The anodizing is high quality. The tail cap section has a large mechanical button here that you can see. It's got a silicone rubberized finish here, and then you've got this tactical switch here. It's kind of like a paddle, but it's recessed a bit. It's flush. So when I say it's recessed, it's not actually sunk in, it's just flush. You've got aluminum band around here, so you can't access it from the side or get anything wedged in there or stuck. I like that part of it, but it is a little bit hard to find even though it's textured. I'd prefer it actually either sink down a little bit or stand up, but just flush like this makes it just a little bit hard to use or find when you're running with gloves or even bare hands I found during my testing. Surprisingly, there really isn't any knurling on the tail, but I had no trouble getting it off either. Inside here are your contacts. It's not a traditional spring, so it is a pretty hardcore fixed position tail cap there. Here is that battery that I was talking about here. It's a NP 2100 HPI battery from Nitecore. It looks proprietary. It's got that positive and negative terminal on the side like so many 21700 batteries have these days. And at the back here, it's got a little divot, which is different. That's just the protection circuit back there. I was not able to get a standard battery to work with this light because this one is long and button top, and I just don't have any batteries that are this long with button tops there. This is a pretty high battery here, 15 amps, that exceeds what the light needs. You do have some fine threading here, really nothing much to talk about, and then at the bottom there you can see the spring and then your outside hip there to hold the contacts on that battery. The body tube has some pretty non-aggressive knurling here. I think it's here more for looks than grip itself. It's not that grippy. You do have a little bit of branding here with the model name and the number there at the top. I like that. The two rings in the middle you can use for your pocket clip if you wish. The head does not unscrew. You've got a nice anti-rotation ring here, which is fantastic for filming and won't allow your light to roll away. Got a little LED indicator on the head here for your battery status and charging. That will blink. It's one color only, blue. You've got a little bit of heat sinking here. I think this is more for style than function. You've got a nice battery door here that fits nicely in. As you can see, they're a little hard to pull up and had no problem with other brands of cables and things fitting in there, so pretty standard, and it fits in there fairly tightly. Got a little bit of branding on the head of the light, your serial number, and it notes that it gets hot. At the very front, you have this strike bezel here, and it's a little bit different. It's got 3 ceramic balls here that you can use to strike something with if you wish, and I believe it's a little bit different material, or at least the finish is different here, so it might be steel or something I'm not able to tell. You've got a glass lens. You've got that custom optic in there with those 4 LEDs in the center. I measured the length of the light at 140 millimeters, minimum diameter of the body at 25.4 millimeters, maximum diameter at the head at 32 millimeters. Weight with the included battery in the light and no other accessories was 191.7 grams. The light is IPX68 water rated and drop rated to 2 meters. So for retention, as I mentioned, the light does have some options here. You've got the lanyard, except there's no really place to put it. My understanding is they want you to use the clip here. So if you want to use the lanyard, you got to put it through the clip. And then the clip is another option. As I said, you can clip it on like this, but you're going to have quite a bit of the light sticking up out of your pocket. It's not terrible, but certainly not great, not something I'd EDC myself. You can move it down, it fits there as well, or you can flip it around if you wish. It's not something I'm going to do, but it's available. Your option then is this belt loop. Instead of a holster, it's got this quick detach connector, I'm going to call it. I'm not 100% sure what Nitecore calls it, but it just snaps in place here and fits nicely. It's made for this light, so it's perfect. fit. It's retained very well. It's not going to go anywhere or anything like that. My one place that I would complain a little bit is the back of this clip here. It's not super stiff. I think once you get it on your belt, it'll be fine, and it has some give to it, so if you get it caught on something, I don't think it'll fly off and hit the ground, which is nice, but I wish this was a little bit stiffer or maybe had some steel in here to make sure it wouldn't come off. I'm not sure if you were a police officer or something like this option here would be rugged enough, but time would tell. So let's talk about the LEDs and beam here. The light's using 4 Cree XP L2 V6 LEDs in cool white with a maximum output of 4,000 lumens. Tint here is cool white, likely around 6,000 K or a little bit higher. The beam is somewhat compromised in this quad at short ranges. You've got that hot spot, and it's pretty round, but it's not a very smooth transition to the spill, and you do get some Cree rainbow. On the very out of the edges, it's a little bit rough. That said, this is all hard to notice at real world, and it's fairly floody, and but at the same time throws decently, about 200 meters from memory. If there's any PWM, I'll insert some shots from my oscilloscope to show you what that looks like on various modes. Usually I think this light's pretty good. Here are my night shots for the Nitecore P20iX. This is running in the ultra low 2 lumen mode. You can barely see it on my deck as normal. Here is low 50 lumens. Nice idea of the beam shape here. This is running those quad Cree XP L2 V6 LEDs in cool white here. Kind of a good explanation, good show with the beam here, but 50 lumens doesn't really throw very far. We can kind of see my fence here, but not very much further. Here is medium. They're calling it 300 lumens. You can start to see some green tint here on lower powers. That's kind of normal for a Cree LED. Here is high, 850 lumens. Here's what they're calling higher. I do have the light in the daily mode, so I've got 5 forward settings. And then to go to turbo, I do press that mode button and hold, like I'm doing here. And this is 4,000 lumens in momentary, and it does step down there fairly easily. And here is strobe at 4,000 lumens. Nitecore is quoting this in its turbo mode of throwing 221 meters, and you can see there it's pretty good. So a little bit of comparison. Here's my MSR D4. This is version 1 of the light. It's running Nisha LEDs, so it's only about 3,300 lumens or so, but you can see it's a nice broad beam floody light. And here is the Nitecore for comparison. The Nitecore is floodier and probably throws a little bit further, and it's brighter, but it's a harsher LED, lower CRI, but wow, does it light up the neighbor's yard. And I better stop because it's late and they're probably going to get pissed at me. For my heat and runtime, I ran the light with the included 21,700 milliamp hour battery. The light will run on those 2 CR123A batteries in the included adapter here if you wish, but just know that you get a less output and shorter runtimes in general. With the 21,700 battery on turbo, the light lasted for only 30 seconds before stepping down, and this was disappointing, especially during which time the heat didn't really amount to a ton. I wish it ran for longer. Step down was pretty significant, as you can see from the graph there, and the light continued to run this way with heat increasing to 55 centigrade at the 21-minute mark. Thermals eventually regulated around the 25C for the duration of the runtime here, and the light went into its lowest mode after about 3 hours of runtime, where it continued for another 2 hours 20 minutes on the lowest output for a total runtime of 5 hours 20 minutes. I did another runtime graph here comparing the runtimes of the 4 highest outputs: turbo, highest, high, and medium, and the 3 highest outputs don't have a ton of overall impact on the runtime itself. Medium, though, on the other hand, ran considerably longer for a solid 8 hours without step downs, and I'll make sure to put in the lumen ratings here. This thing is plenty bright and the mode spacing's good. The P20iX has 2 modes. It's got a daily mode, which it ships in, and how I've been running it with 5 individual modes here. And if I turn it on, we'll show you what that looks like. You've got your lowest, which is very, very low, low, medium, high, highest, and then for turbo you have to press and hold to go to your highest output there. You can double press in that mode to get to turbo, and I won't show you that because that bothers some people. To switch modes, the light just has to be on. You press and hold this mode button and you unscrew, the light will flash. When it flashes 2 times, it's in the daily mode. You screw it back in. You screw it back in like I showed there, and at that point the light will switch directions. In the daily it goes from lowest to highest. In the tactical mode it goes highest to lowest, and it drops the lower outputs. So, and you do have turbo then on the main mode, and then if you press and hold that mode button you get strobe. So outputs of daily will be 250, 300, 850, and 1700 lumens, and then 4000 on turbo. So that's a big jump between 1700 and 4000, and it only works in momentary when you're in that daily function, so it's a little bit of something to get used to. Most lights have that turbo accessible, a little bit more accessible, but it works. I think it's a pretty decent UI. It's easy to switch between them, easy enough that once I read it in the manual once, I've been able to remember it. So this light does have USB recharging on here. It's covered by that port, which I showed you earlier, and I used the included 5000 milliamp hour 21700 battery in my recharging test. Total charge time I saw was 3 hours 54 minutes. Max charge rate was just over 2 amps, and the light will charge via USB-C PD without issue, which is great to see. Good to see manufacturers finally embracing the standard like it's meant to be. While charging the light, it is not possible to use it at the same time. This LED on the side, like I said, will blink when charging and then go solid when charged. Pretty easy to understand. And as I mentioned before, that battery looks custom with that negative terminal on the positive end. It's a long protected battery with a shallow button top, and it fits in my VapeCell S4 Plus charger. Works just fine there. Due to the length, I wasn't able to find another battery I had that fit here with a magnet, so it's hard to tell whether this one's proprietary or not. So my conclusion is this is a pretty nice high-powered flashlight from Nitecore. I like that it's got a pretty practical daily mode and that it's not 100% tactical all the time, if that's what you want it to be. I think it's an interesting choice for turbo to only be in momentary in the daily too. Given the short runtime here, that makes sense. I do wish turbo had more runtime before stepping down though, because it's pretty short. Like I said before, this clip on the belt attachment is a little loose. I wish it was stiffer in my opinion. For me, that pocket clip here is just super impractical. I'm just not going to carry this light in an EDC roll, even though it's not too big because of this pocket clip. I wish the battery was a little bit more universal. I think it's semi-proprietary. I just wish most manufacturers would go into a non-proprietary mode for the 21700s, but so far most manufacturers for 21700s seem to be going this dual direction method and making their batteries semi-proprietary. To be clear, that's an industry thing, not just Nitecore. Overall, this is a solid light for general purpose and has some nice tactical features without being 100% tactical. I can see this being a good option for many if you don't mind the cool white LEDs or short turbo runtime and just occasionally need that short turbo blast. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you stuck around this long, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you on the next review soon. Thanks for watching.